love a microphone that's my size. Okay. So my theater commune was breaking up. It's not like we weren't going to stop doing theater together, but we were not going to live together anymore, which meant that I had to find my own place to live. I had never done that, and I had no idea where I could go. But one of the other girls in this theater company, we did political theater. You probably figured that, a theater commune. It was in the 70s. It was anti-war. Oh, and we did a lot of community pieces, kind of like when greedy landlords come to a neighborhood and start to gentrify, and all they want is to push out the old people and grab your money. We did shows like that too. Well, I found the perfect place to live. It was a one-room efficiency. It had a kitchenette, it had a closet the size of my single bed, and I had a little bit of furniture that people gave me. I got from the Goodwill, or being in Chicago, I got from the street. And I set up. It was perfect for me and my cat. And I knew a lot of people in the neighborhood, so it wasn't like I was alone, really. Well, I'd been living there quite happily for about a year or so when, as I'm going to work, I worked as a waitress because my theater paid nothing, even though I did it a lot. There was a note under the door, and I stooped down to pick it up, and it was a notice from the new owner of the building saying that he was going to be, I'm not even sure it was a he. It was going to be the corporation raising rents to $100 a month. And we would have 5 months to figure out whether we were going to stay and pay the rent, or we were going to leave. Well, this is, did I say the 70s? 1973 to be exact. I was paying a decent rent, which at those days was $43 a month. This was just a little, but it was over double my rent. And there was no way I could afford it. I didn't know what to do. I guess I could if I had to. I could take another shift at work. I could cut back on the theater. I didn't spend money on anything else that I could think of. Food. I like to eat, drink. I like to drink. Well, I go to work and I keep thinking about it. And then I go to my rehearsal, and afterwards I talk about it. You see, what's on my mind is this is an efficiency apartment that I'm living in. I made it look good. I put up lace curtains and lots of flowers, but pretty much it was the kind of apartment that you went to die in. And all of the other people living there, that as far as I could see, were old. I was young and very cool. They were old. And I'd never talked to any of them. I couldn't figure out what we had in common. But now it was clear. We had something in common. I did not want to move. Thank you, stupid landlord. Well, the truth is, if I needed to figure it out, I could. I could always find somebody I can stay with. I was young. I could sleep on the floor if I had to. What happened? In my brain, there was something that kept saying, you can't do that, Robin. You can't do that. You can't leave all those other people alone. You can't do that. That is not right. And I really wanted to, but we had just done this play. Come on. Where were my morals? Where were my ethics? Was I a damned hypocrite? Well, I hope not. I didn't want to be. And then I talked it over with my friend, and I decided I'm going to do it. For God's sake, I'm going to find common cause with these other people. And the very next day after work, I started going door to door to door to door. And I was right in my first assessment. Everybody there was old. And by that I mean over 60. Older than me, of course, right now. I mean old, and they were on limited incomes. There was the guy underneath me who was a World War II veteran with a bum leg, and there was the lady who was living with her daughter in that tiny place because they'd made it their home for 40, 50 years. Everybody loved their place. Nobody had any options to leave. So I started talking to them. I made a suggestion, let's make phone calls. So we made lots of phone calls. And then I said, well, why don't we call the landlord? Because we'd been making calls to, to all our political figures, which being Chicago, no one called us back. And so we called the landlord, all of us. Now this was a 3-floor building. It had 5 entrances, and there were 3 apartments on each floor, so you can figure out how many apartments there were. There were a lot of phone calls made, and none of them were answered. And then Gabby, the lady who lived across the street, she came banging my door, saying, people are coming into my apartment. I don't know what to do. They've got tape measures. They want to figure out where they're going to put the new cabinets that I can't afford. I said, come on in, Gabby. See, by now I actually knew people by name. She was the lady who used to make me great coffee and would always bring me over a piece of cake when she bought cake or made a cake, which was unbelievable. And I called a number that I had seen in the phone book when I was just doing my reading the phone book routine, which I really used to like to do when we had phone books. And I called the Lakeview Latin American Citizens Coalition. And I explained the problem. I said, none of us are Latino, but can you help us anyway? And a woman named Gloria Perez came onto the phone. And she said, we can help you. Organize a meeting, and I'll be there. Well, what do you know? Almost everybody came to this meeting. It filled up Gabby's apartment, my apartment, and the hallway. We had to stand on the stairs going up to the next floor to be able to talk to everybody. And Gloria explained to us, look, the neighborhood is going to change, and this landlord is the first one in. And you have to fight for your apartments. Are you ready? Yeah, we're ready. Make signs. Make phone calls. Call the press. Call the radio. Call the TV. You've got to make yourself evident. All this landlord wants is your money, and if he can't get your money, or enough of it, he wants the people he can get it from. That's what he wants. What he doesn't want is bad PR. So you keep up with doing that, and I will take people. Every couple of days, we're going to go to his office in the Loop, Chicago's famous Loop, and we're going to picket him. We did that for about 3 weeks. We're going to put our rent in escrow. We did that, and we picketed, and we made signs, and we would picket in front of our building. We started doing that. Nothing happened. And then Gloria said, we're going downtown, all of us. She got 2 buses from the Lakeview Latin American Citizens Coalition. We piled in. We all, people needed to be driven. There were people without legs. There were people who were old that were on crutches. There were people who were on walkers. There were people they were all my friends now. And we all went down to this office, this nameless, faceless corporation where the TV, the radio, and print was waiting for us. We picketed all right, and the next morning on every newspaper was a picture of one of the seniors who had been picketing, explaining why they didn't want to move. And on every TV and radio program that actual night, there was an interview with one of us. 5 days later, Gloria calls me. She goes, "Guess what, Robin? You won! You won! You won! You won! Oh my God!" Oh, she was so excited she couldn't believe it either. That win that we got, everybody who had lived there for the last 20 years, 30 years, however, 10 years and more, they get to stay there with no rent increase. Rents were frozen. Those of us who were newer, you get to have a rent increase of 3% a year. We had won. And that's when my father's favorite saying came back to me. Rabbi Akiva, I'm sure you know it. If I'm not for myself, who am I? If I'm not for others, what am I? If not now, when? When indeed.